Hi, James here. Today I'm just going to do a really simple tutorial. This can be followed in either Animate or Animate Pro. And what I'm going to do is just do a star system that goes in the background and just tiles around. I got sort of inspired to do this after making a sort of a little clone of a video game of the classic Space Invaders, and you have to have your tiling stars in the background, and I thought it'd be interesting to just do that in Animate and how simple it is to actually do. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go to View, I'm going to switch my grid on, and I'm going to have it as an overlay. You can have it as an underlay, but you'll see when you go into drawing mode and you start drawing something that your grid will appear. See, this is just my grid. It's at the moment it's a perspective field grid, and that's just fine for what I want to use. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a black rectangle, and you'll see here there's a option in the tool properties to snap to grid, and I'm going to do that, and as you can see when you do it, it snaps to this grid. So what I want to do is actually go out here one, and I just want to make it one sort of grid bigger than the actual viewing port. And now I'm just going to fill this in with black, and I'll probably turn the grid off, or actually I'll put it onto an underlay now. So it's dotted in the way, and I'm just going to draw some stars. These are obviously going to be considerably bigger than they need to be so that you can see them on the low quality of the video capture, and yeah, you could spend a lot of time making these stars much better than I'm going to make them now. This is just something that's quick and will demonstrate the purpose. So there we go, we now have some stars. So now we want to rename this to stars. And I'll turn my cap blocks off. And now all we need to do is animate this. You'll notice when you animate that the grid seems to disappear, but that's fine because when you have your transform you can still snap to grid, and as you can see it'll still snap to that grid. So what I'm going to do is first of all extend the exposure, and let's just drag this out so that we have say 200 frames, and I'm going to extend the exposure to 100 by pressing F5, and over these 100 frames we're going to try and loop this. So at 100th frame I'm going to move this down, and I just want to move it down to the point where we've completely moved it off the screen. So now I didn't have the animate button on, so let's redo that with our animate button on. So I'll press F5 and throw a keyframe in, F6 I mean, and we'll go to the end and we'll do what I was going to do again. And now we have it animated. But of course this isn't the whole picture because it's just going off the screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this, and on this layer I've duplicated, I'm going to now turn the animate button off and just drag it up until it's matched above here like this. And now as it drags down it just follows it. So of course we could just copy these out and using the shift button to grab them all and then the control button to drag across. And now that fills us up, so we now have our animation done. Now what you can do to make this look a bit so you can see how it should look, we'll just throw the camera mask on, and as you play now you can see the stars going down and just tiling repeatedly over and over. There may be a few glitches in the fact that I'm recording the video, but when you render this out it'll be fine. And you can use this idea to render a whole type of different scrolling backgrounds. If I was actually going to do this, I probably would keep the black on one layer and just scroll the stars rather than scrolling the black as well. And the way it's, because I've allowed a little extra space, it gives you a little room to move the camera around. And if you're going to move the camera a lot, you may want to make this background a little bit bigger, but the same process for tiling is there. So I hope this helps you, and I hope that you can apply this tiling to not just stars, but to do lots of interesting backgrounds.